strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Bulldog here with some breaking news that just dropped. We have a major Splinterlands update that is coming at the end of this season. We've heard a lot of hints about this. They've said this was coming. This is not a complete surprise or anything, but we have a lot more details on what is coming with our new reward cards. This is going to completely change the game because after this season, all of the reward cards currently in print are going to stop being minted. So regardless, they have not reached their intended mint rate. There's going to be a lot fewer of them out there than we anticipated because the game is switching over to a new style of reward cards. There is going to be 43 new Chaos Legion reward cards. 43 new reward cards are coming to the game next season. That is a significant amount. That is a huge amount. And the big difference here is these are all going to be soulbound. These new reward cards will be soulbound, meaning they cannot be transferred, rented, delegated, burned, or sold until the cards go out of print. So you will be able to essentially turn them into NFTs eventually down the line once they go out of print. But in order to play with them while they are in print, which is going to be for the next 1 to 2 years, you will have to go earn them in the game, combine them up yourself. And to me, that's going to make it a lot more exciting to actually go earn these cards instead of just, okay, we got all these new reward cards, go out, buy them all, play with them, and then pulling cards from chests has always been disappointing in the past. So this is going to be the first time in quite a while that I am excited to pull cards from my chest. So I do like what they're doing here, and they kind of talk about some of the goals. But as we kind of go through to get through some of the more details, here's one of the big things that's a big change. This is actually something that kind of used to exist, or did used to exist in the game. This was before my time, but at one point you could use potions to increase the odds of pulling legendary or gold cards from your reward chest. That is coming back. The option for players to use legendary and alchemy potions to increase their chances of getting a better rarity and gold foil reward cards when opening loot chests will be re-enabled with one upgrade. It not only increases the chance of getting a legendary card, it also increases your chance of getting an epic card as well. You'll be able to get legendary cards, you'll be able to get epic cards, and this is the only third loot chest, by the way, as far as the epics. So you'll get more, increase your chances of legendary, increase your chances of epics, and it gives use to potions for players who don't buy packs. A lot of players, because, okay, what do we recommend for people whenever they come start playing the game? Do you buy packs or do you just go out and buy cards directly? We always say go buy cards directly, which makes those potions worthless for a large percentage of the player base. Now they are not worthless. You can use them to get better reward cards. So I do think that is pretty cool. And then another big change, because if they just did this, it was going to be too slow to actually upgrade these cards, right? I mean, I've been playing up at Champion for quite a while. I don't know if I've ever gotten enough Jared Scars to actually max one out myself. Almost everything I've got, I've had to go buy from the market. So a big change here is you will now be able to get multiple copies of a single reward card, including multiple copies of, if your potion turns a card gold, you can actually get multiple gold cards or multiple legendary cards. So higher tier loot chests will not only have higher chances of getting higher rarity and gold foil cards, they'll also have a higher chance of getting more copies of each card. So that's something we've actually asked for a while, especially with the commons. Like pulling one common from a champion chest is such a bad experience. So now you can get more than one, although a key piece of information is missing here that I'd like to have them clarify. What is that multiplier? How many can you pull? What's the difference between bronze and champion? Can we pull 2 commons? Can we pull 4 commons? Can we pull 40 commons? Like, we don't necessarily know. So that's a piece of information I'd like to know. But here, we'll get down to the chart here. So there's also been a change in what you can pull as well. So this, whenever you open up a chest, you can pull cards, you can pull merits, SPS, packs. There's been a lot of change. So first here is the odds. Champion, like if we go, they've increased the incentive to go up and play in Champion. Champion now has a higher percent chance of getting Legendary, higher percent chance of getting Epics, a higher percent chance of getting Gold Foil than we saw in the past. I mean, like with the Legendaries, it's a pretty significant, Legendary and Gold is a pretty significant increase. So more incentives to play up in higher tiers, and these odds are before the potion, by the way, before the potion. So, I mean, you can get pretty significant odds of pulling some higher rarity cards, some gold cards, but they've made it so every tier or every league has the same odds of pulling a reward card. So previously you were more likely to get cards in like Champion, but you're less likely to actually pull a card from your chest, but there's a greater chance of there being multiple copies of it. So that's kind of how they've balanced that out, and they've taken away like the odds that they took away from reward cards. They've actually added a little bit over to potions. You'll be more likely to get a potion now, but there's more use for the potions. So there's just a little bit of a change here, but I don't think it's necessarily. Yes, you'll see a lot of people say, okay, they took odds of getting a reward card and put it in the potion. That's a nerf. I don't necessarily believe that, because again, you'll need more potions now, and you can pull multiple reward cards. So it's okay that the odds of getting a reward card have actually gone down. At least that's my opinion. Now, again, we don't know the odds of pulling multiple cards and how many you can pull. So I'm just kind of saying that I'm speculating there a little bit, but I think you're still going to get a lot more cards up at the higher leagues than you were before. So, all right. Soulbound cards, we talked about this a little bit. So they intend for cards to be able to become unbound by infusing them with DEC after the mint rate has ended. They estimate that roughly 1 to 2 years out, the Soulbound reward cards associated with Chaos Legion will end, and they will start a new one for the Rebellion set. And this is kind of interesting that they're saying 1 to 2 years out, because they've got Rebellion scheduled for Q3 of this year. They've got 6 to 9 months out. So I don't know. And there's no set mint rate for these. So they're just going to keep printing them based on how we earn them until they decide that it's time for Rebellion. So I wish there was a little more clarity there and we had a little bit more idea of how many of these are going to be. But ultimately, it's not a big deal, because okay, if they mint it can determine the value for us 1 to 2 years down the line. So I mean, I shouldn't say it's not a big deal, but even if they do mint a ton of them, because you're going to have to burn DEC in order to actually convert them into NFTs that you can trade and that type of thing. If they print 100 million of a card and there's a ton of it going around, there will still only be enough of those converted to NFTs based on the value that's out there. And yeah, those then might sell just barely above whatever their cost is to go mint them. But if we then mint a bunch of them and mint a ton for new players coming in the game to be able to go back and get the older cards, that will then burn a lot of DEC for the economy. So it's kind of a question of how much value there will be down the line. So I know that's certainly something people definitely care about, but it can work either way. But I'd still be interested to know, to kind of get an idea of how many of these they're expecting to print or a better timeline. But it is what it is. Okay, move on to some new stats and new abilities. And as referenced in the title, a major nerf. At least I believe it's a huge nerf. So we're getting 37 monster cards, 6 summoner cards, gonna be rare 12 legendary cards, 7 epics, 12 rare cards. I think those are outside of I believe those are the summoner, include the summoner cards there, and then 12 common cards. So Conscript is a new ability that will be on those summoners. That allows you to play an extra gladiator card. So that means if you're playing in ranked, you can now use your gladiator cards in ranked battle. You can use 1 gladiator card. If you use this summoner in guild brawls, you can play 2 gladiator cards. And it says, before people complain about that being too OP, It's basically costing an extra 3 mana. All of these will have a single ability, so they're designed as what would be 3 mana single ability summoners. So I shouldn't say ability. So they're all planning to be rare. 6 mana, include 1 lower value stat buff or debuff, along with a new construct. So I said ability. That's not fair. It's a stat buff. And then essentially get conscript for 3 mana. So that's going to be paying a lot just to get one gladiator card with Bloodlust, especially since a lot of people don't have those gladiator cards leveled up to really play at high leagues. Like, am I going to spend 3 mana to actually be able to play in Champion and use a silver level gladiator card? Probably not. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these too much. So we'll see how that all works. I'd like to be able to earn gladiator cards faster, but that's a whole separate thing. But the big thing I think will be not how good these cards are, but you now have gladiator cards that can be earned from rewards. You have summoners that can be earned from rewards. Is that going to make the summoner cards less valuable that we have to go out and acquire and buy? That's usually one of the big bottlenecks, is those summoner cards and getting those summoners. Are you going to see a lot of people playing with these summoners just because that's what they've been able to earn for free? We'll see. I don't know. Then we've got the Martyr ability. When a character with this ability dies in battle, it gives adjacent characters +1 to all stats. It essentially gives adjacent monsters Bloodlust. Has the same effect as Bloodlust. And if it gets resurrected, it can give it again. So it says it's very similar to Bloodlust. So for consistency, they will be making 2 modifications to Bloodlust ability. These are 2 big nerfs. These are major nerfs in my opinion. Number 1, the Bloodlust effect will be removed when hit by a character with the dispel ability. Bloodlust can now be dispelled. That is so big. That's a nerf to Bloodlust, and that's a major buff to dispel. And then the Bloodlust effect will always give +1 speed, even in the reverse speed rule set. The first one I understand, okay? Like, it's definitely a big change, but in a way, I kind of like it. Dispel, I've never really cared about Dispel very much. I feel like this could be very good for that. It still hurts Bloodlust. I don't know if I like that type of nerf, but number 2, I'd rather it always be a positive thing. I don't know, I don't like the whole reverse speed rule set anyways, where sometimes lower level cards are ideal. So I don't know, it just makes me hate reverse speed even more. I definitely don't like number 2. Number 1, I don't know, I'm still processing it. By the way, real quick, let's go look at, these are cards that have Dispel, because Dispel just gets a major upgrade here. Oh, by the way, we've got Quora. Everybody complains about how OP Quora is. Nobody cares about getting Quora to level 5 to get that Dispel. I mean, it's going to be a while before most people have her to level 5. But oh, she just gets even better now. Now she can dispel these the Bloodlust as well. The Bloodlust can dispel weapons training, which we're going to see. I should have gone to this after we talked about weapons training. But it can dispel our other new ability. So dispels Bloodlust plus our 2 new abilities. Like Goblin Psychic, we see some good cards here. Goblin Psychic, River Hellendale, Venari Wavesmith. Those are already really good cards. They just got an upgrade. I mean, I see cards that are already decent that we were using in spite of Dispel. Nobody was using Venari Crystalsmith to get Dispel out there. It was always for the range damage and the heal. Now it's got a Dispel on it as well. Goblin Fire Mage with Dispel. This, like, playing that with Yasik and having a scatter shot Dispel could be nice. Goblin Psychic. Everybody was just playing Goblin Psychic for the heal, the affliction, the silence. How many of these cards did people not even know had Dispel on them to begin with? All right, let's go to weapons training. Like Martyr, the weapons training ability also affects adjacent characters. So that's also something, we're seeing more emphasis on placement and positioning, which is going to be big. But a character with weapons training will train adjacent characters with no attack, thereby giving them an attack of the same type as the character with the weapons training ability. This is a lot of times these cards that have no abilities are very, very strong anyways, right? They are extremely strong support cards, and they're so strong that they felt like they don't need an attack on them. I said abilities, I'm sorry, no attack. With the weapons training ability, will train the cards with no attack. The amount of attack that the weapons training ability gives to adjacent no attack characters is still TBD based on initial playtesting, so we don't know how much they'll get, but I still feel like that can be very strong. If there are multiple cards with weapon training next to a card that has no attack, it will get either the highest attack of those two, it won't stack the same type, but if they have two different types, like if you have a ranged weapon training and a magic weapon training, it will give them both. Imagine some of these support cards that are already very, very good without any attack, and now you have a chance to give them dual attack. That could be absolutely crazy. If a character with weapons training dies, the adjacent characters with no attack will lose that effect. They will also still be affected by the oppress ability. So dispel and oppress are about to get, those cards are about to become a little more important. Those are two abilities that could definitely become big. And it also talks about the types. So if we go down here, there's gonna be 6 cards with a new weapon training, 1 legendary rarity from each element, 2 with melee, 2 with ranged, 2 with magic. So each element's going to get its own weapons training attack type. There's gonna be 7 epic cards that will have no attack that can then pair with those legendary cards. So the epic cards and the legendary cards are going to pair together nicely, have some nice synergy. So, and then it talks about how oppress and dispel are going to become a lot more important. This is meta changing, guys. This is no doubt going to change the meta drastically. This is one of the largest updates to the game we've seen in a while. Bringing new cards, a new way to earn those cards, or kind of a modified way to earn those cards. And it's like it's introducing a whole new set here that's going to be extremely impactful. Oh, by the way, we're talking about Gladiator card, about conscription. One thing I didn't mention is there's going to be a conscription rule set as well. That's going to be huge. I don't know if I'll use the conscript summoners too much, but that rule set allowing you to use those Gladiator cards, that's a whole different story. It's one thing to pay an extra 3 mana to get those Gladiator cards. It's another one that's just there in the rule set. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Are you into the Soulbound? I love the Soulbound reward cards. I wish they hadn't used the Soulbound name. I wish they'd used like Locked or something like that. I don't know, those who like people who love the NFTs and that type of thing don't really like the term Soulbound. It's such a negative term because we will be able to sell or trade them down the line eventually. It's just making it so, and this is also like, I mean, let's be honest, this is attacking bot farms as well. But as a champion player, I also just like it because it makes me more interested in the reward cards. I hate, as I said before, I hate pulling reward cards from chests. They're one of the lowest value things. I don't really want them. Now when I can get more of them and when I have to get them to be able to play with them myself, that makes me so much more excited to pull those cards. So I'm definitely excited about this update. I think it's going to be nice. But it also hurts bot farms. That's a huge source of income for the bot farms, is those reward cards. And a lot of them sell off the reward cards to then go, like, whether it's funding rentals or funding whatever the case is. Yes, the bot farms can still operate and they can wait 1 to 2 years to go take their profit. But I feel like that's a big blow to them. And everybody says, okay, well, anything you do that hurts bot farms is also going to hurt new players. This is something cool that's going to hurt bot farms, but it's not going to hurt new players, because new players playing on a single account don't necessarily need to go sell those. They want to earn those to progress their account and earn those cards, right? And if we're giving them the opportunity to now earn more cards because they're soulbound and we're not gonna flood the market with them, at least not immediately. And then if we do flood the market with them down the line, in order to flood the market, you've gotta burn a bunch of DEC, which helps the overall economy anyways. I think it's a great setup. There's still some details to be determined. I'm curious to see how much of these we are minting, exactly how long, or maybe a more narrow time frame on how long they're going to be there, the exact cost to actually unbound them. There's still a lot of details I'd like to know, but overall, I love the concept. Absolutely love the concept. I am fully on board with this. I think it's going to be great. I want to know your comments, though. I know the first video I did on reward cards, Soulbound reward cards, there were a lot of unhappy people. Now that we see a lot more details and you kind of start to see how these will work, are people coming around to it? I feel like, at least on Discord, Twitter, I feel like more people are starting to kind of buy into this idea and see how it works. I know there's still a lot of people that don't like it though, so I'm curious to see all the reactions and see how much has changed over the last few weeks as we learn more and more about these things. So anyways, thank you guys so much. As always, we've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up, so absolutely stay tuned to the channel. Follow me on my socials, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys next time.